All right. So today the talk is called Calibrate to Confidence. And it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. We're going to be talking about mindset. And it's not going to be your typical, like keep going, you can do it type thing. What I really want to accomplish today is really have you come face to face with any kind of limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And we're going to definitely be talking about that today and why it is so important, because a lot of women, when it comes to PCOS and weight loss, they're like, oh, I don't care about my mindset. I just want to know what to eat and how to exercise. But if it were that simple, then it would be that simple, because there are plenty of resources on how to lose weight and all of that. But your mindset is such a huge piece, and it's such a huge piece for women with PCOS, because we're constantly told by doctors, this is just going to be the way it is for you, or we're just not treated well by them. We're not treated well by sometimes friends and family who can be very judgmental. And then, of course, we have a lot of times this track record of failure. So we don't have that evidence of success that sometimes we need to see to actually be able to believe in ourselves. So what we're going to do today is talk through all of that. So I want to start off by talking about our feelings of worth. So who feels that? Again, you can type it just to me, or you can write it down in your journal, or you can type it to everyone if you'd like. So tell me if you feel like you're worthy, but maybe you might have trouble convincing yourself. Like you might be like, yeah, I'm so worthy. But then if you start to think about it, like something comes up, like, for instance, say, yeah, I think I'm totally worthy, but if there's a but, then, maybe we need to do some work there, right? So I'm worthy, but I don't think I could ever be a millionaire or something like that, right? So if anything like that is coming up, then we know that we need to do some self-worth work. And the thing is, there are a couple things that a lot of things that can throw off this feeling of worthiness or make us feel like we aren't worthy. Because the thing is, we are worthy because we are. That's it. There's no if, ands, or but. We are worthy of what we are. You are worthy of whatever you desire. You are. But unfortunately, a lot of things in society kind of challenge that inherent worth. So that can just be societal norms in general. It can be your religion. It can be your job. A lot of these things have just sort of adopted these hierarchies, these ways of making us feel like we aren't worthy of something, right? So in your job, it's like, oh, I really wanted that promotion, but I didn't get it, so I'm not worthy, right? So just things like that. And then besides that, there's this idea of perfect that people are trying to constantly striving to achieve. But if you've been in my world for a while, you know that I believe there is no such thing as perfect, right? Perfect does not exist, because what happens when we're like, this is perfect, if you reach that, then there's a new perfect, and you're always chasing that perfect, and you're never going to be satisfied, because one, you're not in the moment, you're not taking in what you have, how far you've come, you're just looking up instead of looking around and seeing, like, this is what I've got going on. Wow, amazing. And like, what even is perfect? What is perfect? That everyone's definition of perfect in whatever it is, whether that's health, weight, societal standing, finances, they're all different. So there's no such thing as perfect. But as humans, sometimes we feel like, if we're perfect, then we're worthy. If we're perfect, then we're worthy. But that's not true, because first of all, perfect doesn't exist, and you're worthy because you are worthy, right? So again, I really want you to think about, why do you think that you're not capable of anything you desire? Why do you think that you are not deserving of these things, right? So if you've got your journal out, you can either write down that question or start writing down what comes up for you. I really want you to work through what comes up for you in your daily life on these things, right? So one of the things that comes up when we're looking at why we don't feel like we are capable of things or why we don't deserve things is letting our past define our future. And I'm going to talk about this throughout the talk. But when we're looking at our past, right, if you're trying to achieve a goal, you haven't achieved the goal yet. If you're only looking to your past for ways to achieve that goal, for proof that it's even possible for you, you're not going to get it because you haven't done it right. You haven't done it yet. So, and I'm not saying that like this is ridiculous thing. Everyone does that, right? Or a lot of people do, right? We have this, it's like, I haven't lost weight yet with PCOS. And so therefore I think it's really hard because I've been trying 10 years, 20 years, however long it's been. So that is your story that you have to look back on. But if you don't have the proof for that, you can't just rely on your story, right? You've got to rely on other people who have done it, right? So you can look at me and my story and how I've lost weight with PCOS. You can look at other women and look at their stories and that it's possible, right? It's not even just to see the steps, it's to know that it's possible, right? And know that it's possible for you, right? Because if I can do it, you can do it. If she can do it, I can do it, right? That needs to be the new mentality, not competition, because that can happen too, where you look at it and you're like, oh no, well, she only did it because X, right? She only did it because she is blonde. She only did it because she's pretty. She only did it because she had 3 hours a day to exercise, right? We need to get rid of that too, get rid of that competition and focus on if she can do it, I can do it, right? Then there's this idea, the next thing I want to talk about is why we think we aren't capable or deserving is this idea that we have to struggle or we're supposed to struggle, right? So this plays in a lot to worth. It's like, I am worthy of this if I struggle for X amount of time. I am worthy of this if I go through this huge struggle, right? It's like this idea that things aren't supposed to be easy, that there is supposed to be a struggle. And I'm not saying that everything is going to be fun and fancy free and super easy, but I think what has happened is instead of seeing the struggles as God or universe or source or whatever it is you believe, kind of giving you a test, is like, is this what you really want? I'm going to put this block in front of you and see how you maneuver around that. Instead of seeing that as like, oh, let me figure out how to get around that. It's just a test to prove how badly I want it. It's like, I know there's going to be struggle and I have to do it. Otherwise, if I don't go through the struggle, then I don't deserve it. And that's not true. Remember, you are worthy because you are worthy. That's it, right? You don't have to struggle. There's no required amount of struggle that you have to go through in order to be deserving or worthy of anything. You just are. Again, not saying that struggle won't come up, not saying there won't be roadblocks, but we need to view those roadblocks as proof that we are really want what we want, right? And then there's this idea when it comes to worth and desire that it's just that, it's a desire, it's not reality, right? So let me know in the chat or write down in your journal, like, have you ever thought like, oh, I would love it if I could XYZ, or I would love it if I could lose 100 pounds, but that's just a dream. Like it's not even like in your brain, it's not even a real thing. So to give you an example of this, and I used to do this too. So like anything I say during this, don't feel bad if you do this. These are normal things, but in order to be like superstar, be successful, we want to do is work through these, which is kind of the point of this whole workshop. So the point when I realized that I was doing this, where I would think that our desires were just that, right? Desires, they would never be reality, is I was watching Guys Grocery Games because I love Food Network. And this woman was on and she said, my dream is to open a restaurant. And I caught my mind right then and there thinking, well, that will never happen. And it's because she said, this is my dream. And society has conditioned us to think that dreams are just that they won't be a reality, that they're this sort of thing out in the ether that you can never actually like grab onto, that it's just out there and it's nice to think about, but it's not going to happen. right? So if you find yourself thinking that desires are just these sort of nebulous, ethereal things that aren't solid, that aren't able to be a part of your reality, then there's something there we need to work on, right? We need to understand that you are worthy of your desires and they don't need to just be floating out there in the ether, that you are capable of grabbing onto them, pulling them in, and having these things you want, right? So going off of that, I want you to think about, what stories am I telling myself? And this can be hard because, so for instance, with the one I was just talking about, where I was watching TV and I noticed that woman say, this is my dream, and my brain just said, that's a dream and it's not real. Maybe we don't realize that. Maybe it kind of takes this consciousness, right? We can't just be on autopilot where we're just letting our subconscious mind just call the show. We have to be aware of what we are thinking. So what stories are we telling ourselves, right? So we're not just sitting here going like, okay, I want to lose weight, but I'm telling myself this story that I can't do it because XYZ. I've tried before and it's never worked. I have PCOS and that makes it really hard. So I'm probably going to fail, right? If that's the story you're telling yourself, then it's going to be very hard. And again, you may not even realize the stories that you're telling yourself because they are subconscious. So it really takes moving out of that autopilot and looking at, what am I really thinking on a deeper level? Like, what is coming up for me when these things happen to me, right? So these stories that we tell ourselves, they do create our reality. Two people can have the exact same thing happen to them, two completely different experiences. So let's talk about this in terms of weight loss. So there's two women, both on the exact same weight loss journey. They're both doing well, but it's time for them to go on vacation, right? So one tells herself, vacation is going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. It's all going to be great. The other one tells herself, oh my God, I am going on vacation. This is a literal nightmare because I'm going to ruin my diet. I'm going to ruin all my progress. And she has a terrible time. So the woman that's like, I'll be fine, she knows that this is her time to unwind and relax. There's no need to be super, super uptight about diet and exercise when the point is to relax. A few French fries when already following a PCOS friendly guidelines are not going to lead to long-term weight gain. She does have a little control. She still has control over what she's eating, right? No one's force feeding her anything. She has control, and maybe a little bit less control than she's used to, but she's okay. The woman that freaks out feels like she has absolutely no control. She is terrified of eating things that she's not used to. She freaks out the entire time, has a terrible vacation. While the other woman is fine. She actually lost weight on vacation because she stressed less and she had an incredible time. While the other woman has come back, she's gained 5 pounds from stressing and she did not relax at all. She's had a terrible vacation, and which is unfortunate because of vacation. So do you see what I'm saying by saying these stories that we're telling ourselves is what creates your reality, and it does affect your experience, right? So let me know in the chat if that makes sense so far. I want to make sure you guys are following me too. Awesome. Perfect. All right. So it is important to remember when we're telling our stories, because this can happen, is a common story that women will tell themselves with weight loss is that there is one right way to do things, or there is one best way to do things. But the problem with that is when you think that way, you get attached to one way, right? You get attached to that, even though there are infinite paths to that same desire. But when we get stuck on that one way, that makes it easier to fail. And you get stuck in this masculine energy. So just a quick review for those of you who are maybe newer to my world, are newer to different energies. So there's masculine and feminine energy. This has nothing to do with gender or sex. They are just the kind of energies that they are. So masculine is what we are kind of moving out of as a society. It is this very hierarchical, go, 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 aggressive type energy. So an example of that when it comes to weight loss would be these very restrictive diets. So calorie counting, really restricting your carbs, doing a lot of exercise. So all of these methods that are very much about restriction and doing a lot, these are very masculine. And even the idea that there is one way of, or there is like a best way of doing something and then a not so great way of doing something, that is a very masculine energy centered approach to things. So an example for, did I already say that? Yeah. Weight loss example would be, you know, the 800 calorie diet with 3 hours of exercise every day. That is a very masculine approach to weight loss because it is so go, go, go. It is so restrictive and it is the like go-to thing, right? Eat less and exercise more is kind of the most common way and thought of usually as the best way to do it, even though that's not true, especially for women with PCOS, because we know that that is not the issue with PCOS. So what you want to do instead is learn to lean in more to this feminine energy. So again, nothing to do with gender or sex. Feminine energy is about trusting yourself, and trusting your intuition, trusting what is right for you, and understanding that what is right for you may not be right for the person next to you, and what's right for them may not be right for you, right? It is really about leaning into your intuition, leaning into working with your body, right? Understanding that your path might not be someone else's, but that does not make it any less right, right? So, and on top of that, the path that works might not be the one that you expect or that you are conditioned to think was right, right? So take, for example, again, we're women with PCOS. My clients who have been trying to lose weight their whole life, they have been on this very masculine energy based trajectory method of weight loss. They have been doing calorie counting, they have done carbs, they've done like beach body, all of these really excessive exercise routines, and they have not seen any change, right? And that's, I mean, that may work for other people. That's great that it works for other people, but it's not the best method. And it's not very feminine energy centered because it's not working with your body, right? When it comes to PCOS, it is very much about working with your body. So that means addressing things like my 5 pillars. So blood sugar balance, hormonal alignment, toxic overload, nervous system regulation, and chakra balance and mindset. So we're doing the mindset right now. And again, that may not work for someone with another medical condition, right? But we're moving into this point where I really want you to take off this blinders of, I must do it one way, there is one right way. Because when you take off those blinders, you see all of these other ways to do it, right? There's all of these other ways, and none of them are more right or more wrong. There's just what works for you is works for you. Because when we have these blinders on, you just get stuck in this black and white world. It's like, it works, it doesn't work. I fail, I succeed. This is good, this is bad. But there, like I said, there are many, many different ways to get to your desired result. So what I want you to do is redefine failure. So I want you to write down, what do you do when you encounter a roadblock or a hiccup or a challenge, whether that's in your weight loss journey or something in real life? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just what do you do when you run into a roadblock? So let's say you're trying to lose weight and you're doing really well, but then you go to sleep and you wake up and you've gained 5 pounds, right? So what do you do? If you're anything like I was before I am where I am now, I would have freaked out, cried, and said, I give up. I'm just going to go back to bed, which is sad, but unfortunately, that's when we see these roadblocks, we just get so discouraged and we think we've failed. And we want to quit. But failure only happens when you choose failure. Failure only happens when you choose failure. You make a conscious choice to stop moving towards your goals. And sometimes this happens because you get caught up in these details, in these roadblocks, right? Remember, these roadblocks are just tests. They're how bad do you want this? But it's a very crucial moment when you run into these hiccups, these roadblocks, whatever you want to call them, challenges, because that is where you decide, do I really want this or do I want to give up, right? And a lot of times, I really want you to think of this as a choice, because we don't think of this as a choice. A lot of times we see this as out of our control. And I totally understand that, right? It just feels like, oh, this is not meant to be. It's not working for me. That's it. It's me. It's not the method. The method is perfect. That's a very masculine thing where we're thinking, this is the only method that's right. If it's not working, it must be because of me. And that's not true. That's just not true. It is, if it's not working for you, then there are ways around it. There are methods, other methods. So you run into this roadblock and you choose first you say, how badly do I want this? If the answer is really bad, then you choose success. If the answer is, this is too hard, I have all of this evidence of failure, I choose to believe my doctor and my really mean aunt and what I've seen in my own story, then you're choosing failure, right? So really think about that. And the next time that you come up against a challenge, think about, what do you want to choose? Do you want to choose success or do you want to choose failure? Because remember, it is a choice. And the only time you fail is when you choose to stop moving towards that goal. And this can happen a lot when we get caught up in these small details, focusing on things that are wrong or they're coming together to create these negative emotions that you tend to attach to experiences and thoughts. So this creates limiting beliefs. And ultimately, if you subscribe to these limiting beliefs, which unfortunately happens a lot, then you fail, right? And we don't want that. So that's why you need to make these other decisions as well. So will you allow your past to define your future? Will you allow these things that you view as wrong or roadblocks to signal failure? Do you believe these limiting beliefs that might take a little bit of time to uncover? Do you believe these limiting beliefs, or do you want to choose a different belief? Right? And so when you are operating based on these limiting beliefs, and I will say that this can be hard to identify sometimes, some examples of some are, I'm not worthy of losing weight. I'm not capable of losing weight. I'm afraid of success because then what do? This is all I've known is failure and sadness, and I don't know how to operate once I've reached my desire. It could be, I don't have the confidence to do this. I'm afraid of what other people will think of me. I'm afraid that I'll lose family and friends if I make all of these drastic changes. Again, this is something you might want to write down and kind of work through later or watch the replay and go through this. But what these things do is they will keep you stuck in a loop, right? So anytime something goes wrong, you'll feel like you failed. Anytime something doesn't work, you'll feel like it's your fault instead of the method's fault. You do these same things over and over, hoping for different results because you believe that it is the method and it's not you. So this could be, I don't believe that I am capable or worthy of losing weight. That is the limiting belief. So let's say you start counting calories and you aren't seeing progress. So first of all, that's just reinforcing this limiting belief here of, I can't do it, right? I'm not worthy and I just can't do it. I'm not capable. So it's reinforcing that, but it's also keeping you stuck in that loop, because when you believe that, you've learned that that doesn't work. And so your conscious mind is saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. So it's making you keep going through the loop because you're like, there's one way to do it. I have to calorie count. I know that's the best way to do it. And if it doesn't work, then I just need to be more restrictive and work out more. So you do that, you keep doing it, you're stuck in this loop, and then you fail. And then that just reinforces that limiting belief again. So what you need to do is learn how to break out of that loop, right? So how you do that is you choose to keep doing, or choose to keep going, excuse me. You need to sit with that discomfort when you fail, right? Look at what is holding you back. What happened? What were you experiencing? What emotions happened, right? Probably not very pleasant ones. But the only way to heal and see change is to sit with that discomfort and again, understand what's going on. And it's not enough anymore to just label emotions and move on, right? So you can sit there and say, I'm really sad because I didn't reach my goal. I'm really disappointed. I'm mad, and that's it. Well, all you've done is identify emotions, which is a good start. It's a good start. But what I want to challenge you to do is dig deeper than that, right? What comes along with the failure, with the roadblocks of what's holding you back? Don't just stop at labeling the emotions, because when you stop at just labeling emotions, then you stop looking for answers, right? You've just told yourself, these are the emotions I'm feeling. You haven't looked at why, what caused them, what are they attaching to now, right? So I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid? Are you really afraid of whatever you think you're afraid of, or are you afraid of something else? Are you afraid of you're afraid of eating healthy? Why? Are you a picky eater? Are you afraid it will take too much time to prepare it? Are you afraid that it might be a little bit more expensive on your grocery bill? Are you afraid of what other people might think of you if you hang out with people who like to eat maybe not as healthy as you'd like to eat and you start eating differently? Are you afraid of what they might judge you? Again, these are things that you want to sit with and really think about, really digging into that emotion and where it's coming from. Because when we do that, that's when you see real healing, right? Because when you start to dig into that emotion and where it's coming from, you can separate the emotion from the thought, right? Which is crucial. This is how we bust limiting beliefs, right? Because if you don't separate them, they link onto each other. So the thought of, I want to lose weight, links on to, I'm scared, I don't think I'm worthy, I don't think I can do it, so I don't want to feel like failure. So the thought of, I want to lose weight has now attached all of these negative emotions to it, right? Fear, sadness, anxiety, whatever is coming up for you when you think about that. And then you won't be able to do it because you have all of these negative emotions linked to that thought, and that thought becomes a limiting belief of, I can't do it, because your subconscious mind is trying to protect you, right? It's trying to protect you from those not so great feelings. So it's like, no, let's not do this. Let's not do this because we don't want to feel those things. And we know that losing weight means sadness, failure, disappointment, fear, all of these bad things, and we don't want to feel that. So we're gonna sabotage that. And unfortunately, that's not great, right? Your subconscious mind thinks it's trying to do these nice things for you, trying to prevent you from all of that hurt. But your conscious mind is like, yeah, but we want to lose weight. So you're like, they're fighting against each other. And unfortunately, your subconscious mind is going to win. So that is why it is so important to separate these negative emotions that you're feeling from the thought. That is how we bust limiting beliefs, because then the thought becomes just a thought. It's, I want to lose weight. There's no scary emotions attached to it anymore. Scary emotions are over here. We understand where they're coming from. We thank our subconscious mind for reminding us that this might be a scary journey, that it's been a scary journey in the past, but we choose success. We do not choose failure, right? So that's why I really want you to look at the next time you notice something like this, like when you're like, I'm ready to start my weight loss journey. What is the thought? What is the emotion? Why are they showing up together? Right? And how do we cut them? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it, right? So you can eventually get to this point where you can identify these pretty immediately and just sort of snip the emotion from the thought. But that's why doing all of this work now, this journaling that I'm really encouraging you to do, is really important. And also just, again, getting out of autopilot and look at, what am I telling myself? What thoughts are coming up? What emotions are coming up? What beliefs are coming up when I think I want to lose weight? Am I feeling like I'm not worthy? Am I feeling like I'm not capable? Am I scared? For all of the reasons, right? So that's why I really want you to sit with these things, so you can learn to separate that thought from those emotions and bust those limiting beliefs. Now, I'm not saying that there will never be fear or emotion or anything like that. That stuff is still going to show up. It's just important that we learn to separate that, right? So one way to think about this is your different minds. So in the type of yoga that I practice and that I teach, we talk about the 3 different kinds of minds. So you have your positive mind, your neutral mind, and your negative mind. So your positive mind is like a cheerleader. It's going to be like, yeah, you got this. You can do this. Let's do it. Your negative mind is like a safety net, right? It's not a bad. It's not like good and bad. So your negative mind is a safety net. It's going to be like, whoa, are you sure we want to do this? Not sure if that's safe. So like, let's say you want to go bungee jumping, your positive mind is going to say, yeah, let's do this. This is awesome. I'm going to get really cool pictures. I'm going to look so cool. It's going to be like I'm flying. Cool. Your negative mind is going to be like, are you sure we want to do that? We're literally jumping off a cliff. The bungee might snap. Who knows what could happen? We could hit our head on a rock. We're going to feel like we're plummeting to our death. Maybe this is not the best idea. So as you can see, again, that cheerleader versus that safety net. What we want to do is make decisions from our neutral mind, right? So there aren't these emotional pulls there like there are with the positive mind and the neutral mind, or even those limiting beliefs. And the neutral mind, again, there's no emotion there. And one really great way to work on that is meditation, because in meditation, you work on identifying thoughts. Like a lot of people think meditation, you're supposed to sit there with this clear mind, and that is not the case. The point of meditation is to work on, to practice cutting these emotions from the thought. Because when a thought comes in when you're meditating, you can choose to just let it pass, let it keep going, or you can choose to grasp onto it. And when you grasp onto it, then all of these different emotions come up, right? But when you just let it go, you aren't grabbing onto all of these emotions that are attached to it. You're just saying, that's nice, there it goes. I don't need to attach that. That's just a thought. There's no emotions. I don't need to be emotional about this. So that's why it's so important to make these decisions without these pulls happening, whether that's from your limiting beliefs, your negative emotions, or even just your positive and your neutral mind. So next thing I want to talk about is eliminating self-doubt, which is ultimately the goal of getting rid of these limiting beliefs, overcoming these negative emotions, separating these emotions from thoughts, understanding our worth. Because this, just like everything else we've talked about success, failure, and all of that, believing in yourself is a choice, right? Whether or not you truly believe in yourself is a choice. And the proof of that choice shows up in how you show up, right? It's how you prove yourself to the universe. This choice that you have made by continuing the path, even though there are tests along the way, right? So if you're still holding on to self-doubt, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you're holding on to self-doubt and an obstacle comes up, you're just going to take that as failure and go, because you don't believe in yourself that you can do it, right? You're like, oh, I'm not sure. I might be able to, but I don't know. I don't think I can do it, right? But when you believe in yourself and that same obstacle is there, you're like, I got this. and you figure out a way. You can go around this way, you can go around that way, you can go over it, you can go under it. There are many different ways to overcome obstacles, but again, the only time that you choose self-doubt, that you choose failure, is when the obstacle beats you, right? Because you are stronger than that obstacle. I already know. You may think you aren't, but you are. I know, right? I also want to talk about activation, which I hope this talk has done for you. So activation is just as important as understanding, it is what activates you, what lights you up, what inspires you to take aligned action in a way that is exciting, right? Are you someone who is really self-motivated and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this because, do you get your motivation from somewhere else? Is it that I heard this really cool piece of information? Is it that I went to this really cool talk? Is it, oh, this person I saw, I want to be like her, what she said really resonated with me, right? So I'm talking about activation here. So I want to make sure that that activation is not, here are the steps. That's not activation, because anyone can say, here are the steps. And then you could look at it and be like, that's really boring. Or because you're activated, you'd be like, yeah, I want to do that. I am ready. I am lit up. I am excited to do this, right? Because it's important to have the steps, for sure. You need to have the steps, but it's also important to be excited to do those steps. Because if you're not excited to do those steps, you're not going to do those steps. You're like, I don't want to do this. Why'd you tell me to eat broccoli? I don't want to eat broccoli. It sounds boring, right? But if you go to something and they're like, broccoli is, I don't even know. Broccoli is this magical thing and I eat it every day and it's what led to my beautiful hair. I'm making this up. Then you're like, oh, that's interesting. Or like, let's say that you really look up to someone and they're like, I eat broccoli every day. And you're like, oh, I want to be like them. I want to eat broccoli every day, right? So you see the difference there between eat broccoli every day and that activation, that excitement to do those things, right? So this talk could be activating for you, someone you follow on Instagram. Maybe my Instagram is activating for you. Maybe someone else you follow on Instagram is activating for you. Just to kind of think about what activates you, what gets you really excited, what gets you really lit up to do what you need to do, right? So I also want to talk about intention, which we sort of talked about earlier. So we've talked about limiting beliefs. We've talked about masculine energy. We've talked about how to deal with roadblocks, negative emotions, activations, but I want to talk about intention, right? So intention going into something is basically what you think will happen, what you want to happen, what your goal is of the goal, kind of, right? So your goal is to lose weight and the intention is I will be successful. You see how those are different things? So your intention is kind of like how you see the outcome, right? So that's why it's so important to work on these limiting beliefs and these negative emotions, because if you don't, then they're going to influence your intention and therefore they're going to influence your result, because the intention 100% influences the result, right? So if you go in thinking, I can't do it, I'm not going to do it, I don't think so, right? So that's kind of like these limiting beliefs coming to the surface when you're creating that intention, right? So the intention is the limiting beliefs coming up and say to your conscious mind and saying, this is how this is going to go, right? So either I'm going to be successful, I'm going to fail, I can't do this. I hope you guys like my hand movements. I feel like I've done weird ones, but yeah, so it's basically what you think is going to happen, and it is your expectation. It's basically a priming for what you think the outcome is going to be, and it can also influence micro actions, right? So the goal is to lose weight. The intention is, maybe the intention is it's going to be hard, or I don't think I'm going to be successful, right? Because if the intention is based on your past experience or your limiting beliefs, then what that leads to is these micro actions, right? These things that we may not even realize that we're doing. And it just creates more failure faster. So an example, I don't believe I can take control of my PCOS because I've never done it before. Then you won't, right? You will give in to your sugar cravings. You will say, I'm too tired, so you won't do any kind of movement that day, just lay on the couch. And you'll be like, I'm so in pain, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. And then it will win. Your goal will not win because you've taken these actions that are influenced by your intention, right? Even if you didn't realize that was the intention going in. So women, or maybe the intention is women with PCOS will always struggle, right? And then everything will feel like a struggle, right? You don't believe yourself worthy because you believe you must struggle. You see how these are all coming together? You believe that you have to struggle in order to be worthy. You believe that women with PCOS have to struggle to lose weight because that's the evidence you're looking at. So the intention becomes you have to struggle. So things that might have felt easier if your intention was going in easier, was different, right? If your intention going in was, this is going to be really fun, I'm going to be successful, then you probably won't experience as much struggle, right? You're doing the exact same actions, but because you went in primed with this idea that I'm going to struggle because I have PCOS, because I have to struggle, then it's going to feel like a struggle, right? Not saying that there won't be a struggle, but that's why we need to have these tools of separating the thought from the emotion, right? Where is the struggle coming from? Is it because you're frustrated because you're seeing the same patterns over and over again? Is it because you're not seeing results because you're doing the same things over and over again? So just very important to look at, what are my limiting beliefs? What are these emotions? Why is this coming up for me? So I hope that's making sense as well. Let me know in the chat if this is not making sense for you. Right. So what intention also does is it keeps you more in the present and in the moment, right? You're more aware of your actions and your surroundings. You're not just like looking up at like, there's the result and I'm all the way down here and oh my gosh, there's all of this to make up. It's keeping you here in the moment, which is great because what that will do is it will make you more mindful of your actions, right? So you get a sugar craving and you're like, oh my God, I really want something sweet, but you're like, no, because I've chosen to be successful. So I need to take an action that's going to be successful. So instead of eating a candy bar and 5 cookies, you eat almonds and some peanut butter, something that's more healthy. So it keeps you in the moment instead of just being like, look how far away I am from this. Look how hard it is. Look at this struggle. Look how unworthy I am because it's all the way up here and I'm all the way down here. It's like, what am I doing in this moment? What can I do in this moment to influence my actions to lead me closer to my goal, right? And just like with success, just like with what you choose to believe, intention is a choice. It is choosing beforehand whether or not you will be successful, right? It is deciding even before the journey begins what the outcome will be. Mind you, it's not choosing the journey or how the journey will go. So remember, we need to detach from that how. If you get stuck on the how, then that's when you start to see all of these different roadblocks. Because you're like, oh, I went this way and I can't go there anymore because there's this thing in my way. So I give up, right? There's all of these different hows, right? All of these different hows that we can go through, all of these different paths to succeed. And you only fail when you choose failure. And if your intention is to succeed, then we're not going to choose failure, right? We're going to choose to find a way around that roadblock. We're going to know that there are infinite ways to get to our goal. And just because a challenge came up, that's not the end of the road because you choose success, right? Now, a big part of this, in all of this, in taking action towards your goal, and especially for your mindset, is embodying the essence of your desire of that goal, right? That's another way that we achieve what we want to achieve. A lot of people will tell you it's perseverance, you just keep going, or have SMART goals, but embodying the essence of your desire is a very feminine, energy centered way of doing things, right? The way to truly receive what you desire is to embody the essence of that desire and then take the aligned action. Because when you're embodying the essence of that desire, then you're more likely to take actions of someone who is already at where you want to be at. So what does embodying that essence look like? So your goal is to lose weight with PCOS. So first step is, what do you as a person look like once you've achieved that goal? I'm talking about, what is she like? How is she different from the you that you are right now, right? Does she dress different? Does she do different activities? All of the things, right? So obviously we can't just snap our fingers and have the weight just fall off. So that's not a way to embody the desire, but you can embody the desire, right? So obviously, there's tons of whys as to why you want to lose this weight. So think about what your why is, right? So, maybe your why is, I want to lose weight so I can feel really confident in the way I look. I want to feel more beautiful. So maybe that means buying a new outfit that you really love, even though you haven't lost the weight yet. So you understand what that feeling is like, what that confidence feels like, what that feeling is like. Maybe you want to lose weight so you can feel more comfortable going out and dancing or something. Maybe you really love dancing, and the you that has lost the weight with PCOS goes dancing every Friday. Well, maybe you start going dancing once a month. And that's a way to embody that desire, because the you that has reached your goal goes dancing every Friday. And maybe you're not ready to go dancing every Friday yet, but you can start. You can go once a month, right? So think about, again, what does the you that has already achieved your goal, what is she like? What does she do? What is she like? How does she feel? And then think about ways that you can achieve those feelings, that you can start to act like her now, right? And then that leads to taking aligned action, right? So you're putting all of this together and you're taking the correct action that will get you to your goal, right? So if you're already feeling that confidence, if you have worked past your limiting beliefs, when you understand that success is a choice, that you only fail when you choose to fail, then you're in a place where you can take this aligned action, where you understand this is what I need to do. When you're in that feminine energy centered space where you understand what works for your body, and that there's not just one right, perfect way to do things, that one way is better than the other, that there are infinite number of paths to that desire that you're looking for, then you can start taking aligned action. Right. And it's really important to lean into that intuition and that what's right for you for this, because if it doesn't feel authentic and it doesn't feel right for you, then it's not aligned, right? It's not for you. It's for somebody else, which is fine. It's fine. It's for somebody else, but it's not for you. And you need to do what's right for you. Right. So I did want to take a second to talk about a way that you can take aligned action in moving towards your goals with PCOS. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this because I just reformatted my protocol. So one way you can take aligned action, where you can continue to work on all of this mindset stuff, because I'm sure just this 1 hour of me talking is probably not enough. So if you're someone who wants more support, if you want support with the mindset, if you want support with the practical steps, if you want a coach who is there to help you work through these challenges, to dig into these limiting beliefs, to help you figure out, what food, what exercise, what lifestyle changes are right for you and your body, then I want to invite you to join me in the Empowered Woman's Weight Loss Method. So this means working with your body. It is PCOS specific. We are very much about fitting around you rather than you fitting into our mold. It is a protocol for women with PCOS who are looking to lose weight. But again, like I said, every single person is different. And I really take that into account with all of my clients and figuring out, what works for you. So we look at things that are very PCOS centric. So my 5 pillars: blood sugar balance, hormonal alignment, nervous system regulation, toxic overload, and chakra balance and mindset, which is again what we did here today. And then we also look at things like working with your cycle, how to live your life according to your cycle. Very feminine energy, very much about developing that bodily intuition, working with your body, learning about your individual cycle and how it affects you, all of these things. And like I said, I'm really excited about this because I just reformatted it. So you actually get a longer time in the program now than before for the same amount of money. So I'm going to drop the link if you would like to sign up in the chat. So now you get to be in the program for 6 months. You have access to the Content Hub for life. So you'll have all of the video trainings, all of the worksheets, all of the recipes, all of the workouts for life. And you will have support from me for 6 months. That's 6 months of working through all of this stuff that we worked through today. It's 6 months of me helping you figure out a customized way to eat for you, your body, your lifestyle, your goals, your PCOS. Me helping you figure out, what's the best movement for you and your body when it comes to exercise, all of that. So like I said, if this resonated with you, if you are someone who is looking for more aligned action, something that is more specific to you and your body, then I'm really excited to welcome you into the program. Like I said, it's a new format to allow you to have even more time with me. So I'm very excited about that. All right, so the last thing I want to do is Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat and I am happy to answer them. If you don't have any questions, then thank you so much for coming today. I really hoped that this gave you something to think about. Like I said, it may not be the most comfortable thing to sit with, but like we talked about in the talk today, the best way to see real healing is to sit with that discomfort, look at where are these things coming from so that you can really move forward and heal completely, really work on that mindset. And I also hope that if you're someone who maybe didn't see the importance of mindset so much, that maybe now you kind of see that it's quite important. So I really hope that you got a lot out of here. Is somebody raising their hand? Let's see, I'm not getting any questions right now, which is fine. If something comes up later, please feel free to email me. Like I said, if you're someone who is looking for a way to take more aligned action, who wants to work through this even more, I'm really excited to welcome you into my program. It's the same information as before. It's just a new format to just allow you to have even more support and accountability throughout the 6 months. So yeah, I'm very excited. So thank you all so much for coming, and I will see you soon.